Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all honor, all praise, and all glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Arachakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles and bishops of the great millstone that rule well. And as always, peace, blessings, and salutations to all the fellow laborers of the hopeful elect tabernacle of David, scattered abroad across the four winds of the earth. And this is why, more curses get sent up by the day. Just like righteous Lot, who was vexed with the filthy behavior of the wicked in his time. And we know that, the people that were in those civilizations, those cities, Sodom, Gomorrah, and the other neighboring cities, they lived very immoral lives. They were very proud, they were filled with pride. They lived sexually immoral, and they didn't have a care in the world until the Lord finally sent the message, and he went and got Lot, his two daughters, and even his wife had a chance to get up out of there, but her heart was still sown in that world. So the Lord made an example out of her and all those cities. All right, and we're in Babylon the Great, and we know that the prophecy said that, her iniquity will reach unto heaven. So you can just only imagine the iniquity levels. It's at an all-time high, and it's only a matter of time before the Lord finally step in and put an end to this vile, corrupted empire. But anyway, this is all based on this article that I came across, and this is dealing with basically in this city in Florida. It says judge rules drag show with lewd sexual acts can take place very close to kids' park. All right, and Florida is supposed to be a red state, a conservative state. But here it is, you got a judge that's ruling on immoral activity to be displayed in public, even near children, where children, play and, are pretty much active. So this is, high level wickedness. But, there's no shame in it. All right. The scriptures talk about how pride, the beginning of pride, is when men will depart from their maker. All right. As a matter of fact, let me get that, because they still ain't learned from what the Lord did to ancient Sodom and Gomorrah. And this is Sirach 10. And as a matter of fact, I'm gonna read the second verse, and then I'm gonna jump down. Because obviously the judge judging this particular matter, he definitely isn't judging based off of what would be more conservative, which when you look at it in a traditional sense, it's going back to the moral values of the Bible. All right, and this devil definitely doesn't judge based off of the Bible. That's why it says in Psalms 50 and 16, unto the wicked. And we know Esau is the border of wickedness, which is why he can never be a righteous judge. All right. But it says, unto the wicked, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, that thou should take my covenant in thy mouth, seeing thou hatest instruction and cast my words behind thee. All right. So reading this, Sirach 10 and 2, it says, as the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. So they're going to enforce whatever policy that's coming from the judge. All right. And what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. All right. So, Esau is perverse. The scriptures say in the book of Hebrews that he's a fornicator and a profane man. So he was definitely not worthy of the blessing, all right, that he would have originally gotten if the Lord chose him. But he wasn't the chosen vessel. He's the vessel of wrath fit to destruction. And Humanity can see that at this point. Now, jumping down to verse 12, it says, the beginning of pride is when one departed from God and his heart is turned away from his maker. For pride is the beginning of sin, and he that hath it shall pour out abomination. And, that was one of the sins of Sodom. The first thing that you'll learn about Sodom was the level of pride that those men had, and women. They were all proud, just like the same pride demon here in the States, here in the US of A. This is where you can walk around with nothing on in front of children. Men can walk around, dressed in stilettos, all right, bikini briefs, all right, with glitter on their face, makeup, and they can walk around with their swords, swinging left and right in public. So that's nothing but pride. And it says, and he that have it shall pour out abomination. They're going to do abominable, detestable acts. All right. It says, and therefore the Lord brought upon them strange calamities and overthrew them utterly. All right. And what the Lord did to those cities, it was a strange calamity, because it had never rained fire and brimstone on major cities, and left them in such a ruin that they never was able to bounce back to this very day. All right. So going back here, it says a U.S. district judge has issued a preliminary injunction allowing a grossly inappropriate and sexually explicit drag show to be held in view of children at a June 7 Pride Festival, a non-profit legal group reports. As CBN News reported, Liberty Counsel filed a motion on behalf of 3 Collier County parents to keep the sexualized LGBTQ performance away from a children's playground. And they don't care, because they already trying to blur the lines, all right, where they want children to be a part of this group. All right, they even trying to humanitize, men who have this sick fetish of being attracted to minors. They call them MAPs. All right, you already got the NAMBLA. All right, they got NAMBLA and MAMBLA. Go look up what that is. So, they've been working on trying to make this thing legal. All right. It says the lawsuit came after the Naples City Council voted 5-2 in April to move the proposed drag show indoors away from Cambria Park, which is frequented by children, and to restrict the events to adults only. However, Naples Pride, an LGBT advocacy group, and the ACLU sued the city, claiming it violated First Amendment rights by moving the event. So this would be cool and acceptable, but us going out there and preaching the Bible, that's soon to be criminalized. So that this place is on its way out. Okay? It's on its way out, man. It says the ACLU sought a preliminary injunction to overturn the city's location and age restrictions. Earlier in May, a preliminary injunction hearing took place in the U.S. District Court, where the city of Naples offered only one defense to its restrictions on the drag show. The city noted that Cambria Park, which has a children's playground a mere 100 feet away from where Naples Pride wants to hold its drag show, is a limited public forum where permits are subject to reasonable and viewpoint neutral criteria, Liberty Counsel said in the statement. So they're trying to justify a wicked behavior, man, in the midst of children. They want children to be desensitized to this. You already got drag shows happening at these libraries where they're allowing these fairies, dressed in drag to read books to children. They slowly but surely been putting pornographic material in these children's books so that they can sow it subconsciously in their mind, getting them desensitized. This is all perverseness, man. And Satan's going to go out swinging in these last days. This is something to expect. But that's the reason why the Lord, he even though he's patient, but the Lord is great in power, and he's not going to acquit the wicked. None of this behavior is going to go unaddressed. That's why it says in 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, it says that he will no more hold his tongue as concerning as touching their wickedness, which the wicked exercise themselves. All right, because it's polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. So that's why the Lord's going to continue to turn up the plagues, all right? And these people are going to feel it. Right now, they're not going to repent from their ways because they still can eat. They still got running water. They still got electricity. All right? So anyway, it says, while this is true, Liberty Counsel argues this defense leaves out more significant arguments that will require the court to deny the injunction in the interest of protecting children. It continued. They point out that Florida's Protection of Children Act of 2023 expressly outlaws public drag shows held in view of minors. Allowing a drag performance in open air and in full view of a busy children's playground would violate Florida law, Liberty Counsel said, noting that although a federal judge blocked enforcement of that law for a single Florida agency, the ruling does not erase or suspend the law itself. All right? So they're going to find a way to justify it and, enable these freaks to show their public display of perverseness in the midst of children. It says the group says the city failed to challenge Naples' Pride's description of the drag show as family friendly and provided photos of a 2022 event held by the group just 100 feet from the playground that shows otherwise. The images depict men in obscene drag costumes performing lewd poses and simulating sexual acts that are unsuitable for children. The drag performers also invited children to place money in their waistbands. Come on, man. Come on, seriously. This is diabolical and it's bizarre. All right, but some people, they don't see anything wrong with it. They'll say, who are you to judge? You shouldn't judge no one. Well, the scriptures say, woe unto him that call evil good and good evil, that put light for darkness and darkness for light. All right, he that shall justify the wicked and condemn the just, even they both are an abomination. Because this is completely unacceptable. But it ain't going to stop this devil because he got all the reign right now. He's in power. This is why he's known as the man of sin, the man of lawlessness. But this is clearly a liberal judge in a conservative state. Okay? So this is what they got to deal with. And I wonder if Trump would even respond to that. I doubt he'll say anything about it. Okay? Because he puts on an act anyway. He's another Edomite. All right, the Edomites in nature, they're just wicked. And it was spiritual. This being in a city called Naples, is clearly named after the city of Naples in Italy. All right, which goes back to you got Naples, Italy, which is not too far from Rome. And ironically, Italy is like in the form of a strip, all right, surrounded by a body of water, just like Florida. And so Florida happens to have a city named after the actual city in Italy, Naples. You know what? It's what I'm gonna do. me go to the etymology. Look up Naples. It says Naples, city in southern Italy founded by Greek colonists, from Italian Napoli. All right, from Greek Neapolis, literally new city. Okay. So we know that Greece and also Rome, they lived, after the immoral fashion of living. They lived according to the flesh. They were a bunch of freaks. Okay. They was into, most sexuality. All right. Pederasty, better known as pedophilia. They was into the little boys and stuff like that back then. So it's no new thing under the sun. This is what this is basically showing in the spirit. No new thing under the sun, man. That which have been is that which shall be. And this is Rome 2.0. All right. So let me get a couple precepts, because this is the same behavior that led to what happened to ancient Sodom and Gomorrah. So this is Jude verse 7, and it says, "And don't forget Sodom and Gomorrah and their neighboring towns, which were filled with immorality and every kind of sexual perversion. Those cities were destroyed by fire and serving as a warning of the eternal fire of the Most High judgment. And due to the pride of Babylon, America, the whore, the shameless whore that sits as a queen that says she's no widow and will not know the loss of children. They have no idea. Okay. And just like in the days of Noah, they was eating and drinking and marrying and giving in marriage, and they was, buying and selling, business as usual, carried away in their activities, until the Lord had Lot get up out of there, and the Lord, he rained fire and brimstone on them. All right. And he left the ruins of that place as a monument of their wicked, immoral living, their lifestyle, and their foolishness. Matter of fact, let me get that in Wisdom of Solomon. This is Wisdom of Solomon, the 10th chapter. Wisdom of Solomon 10 and verse, I'm going to start at verse 6. It says, "When the ungodly perished, she delivered the righteous." And this is talking about wisdom. All right. Instruction. When you follow the Lord's instructions, that's wise. All right. This is wisdom that actually delivered just Lot. It says, "When the ungodly perished, she delivered the righteous man who fled from the fire which fell down upon the 5 cities, of whose wickedness even to this day the wasteland that smoketh is a testimony." All right, showing you that when it talks about how Babylon's the smoke of her torment is going to go up forever, it doesn't literally mean that the smoke is going to go up for all of eternity. It just means that the place is going to be left in ruins as a memorial, just like what the Lord did to Sodom and Gomorrah. And obviously, the smoke isn't going up anymore over there, but nothing grows there anymore. Nobody occupies. Nobody's returning and rebuild on those cities. The Lord just completely left it in ruins. All right. And that was left as an eternal receipt of what the Lord would do to a nation for their pride, for their rebellion. It says, "Of whose wickedness even to this day the wasteland that smoketh is a testimony, and plants bearing fruit that never come to ripeness, And a standing pillar of salt is a monument of an unbelieving soul. Remember Lot's wife. Okay? Which a lot of these women, they're not gonna even have a chance to be turned into salt. They're just gonna melt. A lot of our women, they would have it no better. All right? They fell in love with Babylon. They love this wicked kingdom. This is the main kingdom where these women receive, a bit of authority and the liberty to, be shameless, to act on their urges, their desires. All right, to usurp authority over the men, to live lawless, careless, at ease. So these women, they wouldn't want to see Babylon destroyed. They love it here. So that's why a majority of them are going to be destroyed. All right, only the sisters that checked out of this place spiritually and have, transformed their mind. All right, they didn't checked out from this wayward society, that feminist mindset and lifestyle. All right, they're the ones that got a shot at salvation. Because the scriptures talk about how you're gonna have those who pursuant to Ezekiel the 9th chapter, they're gonna receive a mark of exemption from the judgment because they were sighing and crying for all the abominations that was being done. Lot, he was vexed with the behavior. His soul was vexed. So if your soul is vexed here and you hate this place, then more than likely, you might be of the elect, if you of the children of Israel. It says, for regarding not wisdom, they got not only this hurt, that they knew not the things which were good, but also left behind them to the world a memorial of their foolishness. And the Lord's going to make that same example out of Babylon. Okay? Right out of the U.S. It says, so that in the things wherein they offended, they could not so much as be hid. All right, so all that wickedness that they did, it caught up to them, and it's a receipt to show that they definitely had that tab that they had to pay. All right, so Babylon is going to be much worse. That's why when you read all the prophecies concerning Babylon, it continued to compare it with how the Lord overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. And what's going to cause that? The Lord ain't going to do it exactly how he did in when Sodom and Gomorrah and those neighboring cities were inhabited. He's going to use these nations to shoot off those arrows. Them ICBMs, that's what's going to do the job, and it's going to do it even worse. It's going to shake the whole entire earth. The whole entire planet Earth wasn't shooken when the Lord rained fire and brimstone on Sodom and Gomorrah and those other cities. But it's definitely going to happen when the Lord does what he's going to do to Babylon. And that's what's going to usher in the return of the righteous standard on earth. Because there's going to be a new heaven and a new earth after that, wherein dwells righteousness, pursuant to 2 Peter 3. So this behavior, is going to be rampant until we up out of here. All right. As a matter of fact, let me get this in 2 Peter. 2 Peter 2 and verse 6, it says, later the Most High condemned the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah and turned them into heaps of ashes. He made them an example of what will happen to ungodly people. But the Most High also rescued Lot out of Sodom, just like the Lord is going to rescue the elect out of Babylon, because he was a righteous man who was sick of the shameful immorality of the wicked people around him. Same with the Lord's elect. All right. And the fact that they got to turn their cheek to all this wickedness, so we just got to basically just cry out to the Lord, man. Yes, Lot was a righteous man who was tormented in his soul by the wickedness he saw and heard day after day. And we know Pride Month is coming up, so you already know it's going to be vexation. This is what they're going to do. And you think that Trump was going to clean all this behavior up with these executive orders? You know, he's getting all the transmissions out of the military, and you know, changing the course of the sports where they're taking the trans men up out of you know, the sports with women and things of that such. But he ain't overall just gonna completely change and completely outlaw the whole behavior and lifestyle, you know, as a sexual orientation. All right, so he's not moral either. These Christian hypocrites, they're not real true Christians because they don't follow what the Bible actually say. It says, yes, Lot was a righteous man who was tormented in his soul by the wickedness he saw and heard day after day. So you see, the Lord knows how to rescue godly people from their trials, even while keeping the wicked under punishment until the day of final judgment. And that's basically what Babylon is being preserved for as well. All right. And he's going to turn this place into a lake that burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. All right. And this the new pope, which they trying to say is a Haitian nigga. You know, I don't know about that, but you know, we're gonna see what his tune is. But I bet you his tune is gonna be in accordance with the new agenda. He's gonna push and enforce the new world order, the whole new woke church vibration that's out there, where the church is being more tolerant of immoral behavior, things that they know is prohibited by the scriptures. All right, so the Lord's he's going to destroy this place. He's going to destroy the false prophet, which the false prophet is finally being represented by an actual Babylonian American. So yeah, this place is about to it's finna go out, man. But anyway, you know, I just want to do a response to this this article here. All right, this is what they doing, and you know, prepare for more vexation, because before you know it, we're gonna end up in Pride Month. All right, it's gonna be more wickedness, more lewdness. All right, more shameless behavior. So anyway, with that, I'm gonna give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh Shai, and to the next one, Shalom.